Hello everyone, welcome back to another election prediction video. Though for the 2024 election, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. against Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. So again, it's very unlikely that RFK Jr. wins the Democratic primary against Joe Biden. Right now he's only at 15 to 20% in the Democratic primary polling. Uh, we are seeing a bit of a phenomenon here where, like, I think some Republicans would actually vote in the Democratic primary just for RFK Jr. I've seen that a bit on social media, so it's possible he would do a bit better in the rural areas of states while underperforming in the urban and suburban areas. That's kind of how I see his coalition consisting of. So he would be sacrificing turnout in the urban and suburbs for better rural turnout. But he's kind of like an old school Democrat, R.F. Kennedy Jr., but he's has some center right positions. Overall, I would say he's a bit of a more centrist type of Democrat, but those aren't the types of Dems that really encourage turnout among the base. But let's get right into this. So Colorado, it's safe Democratic. Again, I just think DeSantis's brand of politics from Florida here, just very right wing, more right wing than Donald Trump, wouldn't really suit well for progressive Colorado. Even with a centrist Democrat like RFK Jr., I think he'd win by over 10 points against Ron DeSantis in the state of Colorado. In Florida, DeSantis would quite easily win in here by over 10 points. I really have no doubts that DeSantis would do extremely well in his own home state. Usually has quite a huge lead. He's always outperforming Trump in the Florida polls when he's up against Joe Biden. I think RFK Jr. also wouldn't do super well with minority voters, especially Latino voters. I think DeSantis would probably actually narrowly win Latino voters in Florida against RFK Jr. just because he's not really exciting as a candidate for minority voters. In the state of Texas, I really don't see RFK Jr. closing the gaps here. He's probably going to lose turn in the urban areas, which would definitely hurt him because as a Democrat, to make Texas competitive, you need to run up those margins in the urban areas. You can't just do it with rural turnout alone here, and that's just not going to work for RF Kennedy Jr. In New Mexico, I kind of just see as a likely Democratic state. I think even though he would lose a lot of turn on the urban areas, I still don't think DeSantis could make it competitive. Virginia, on the other hand, I see going down to lean Democratic. Again, black turnout would be quite low in most of the states just because RFK Jr. is not really a inspiring candidate for those voters. Plus, he's going to be hemorrhaging urban and suburban turnout in most states. Again, because he wouldn't really energize the base here that are just the more left-wing voters. Why would they come out and vote for a centrist or someone who's even center-right on some issues? He's like, again, too centrist, and he has a lot of center-right positions. I just see him hurting overall left-wing turnout. So Virginia, he definitely would underperform. In North Carolina and Georgia, again, just because of black voters, I just don't think he would win either of these two states. I don't think he would make it really close either. Again, he's hemorrhaging tons of urban and suburban turnout, and that's just would end the Democrats' campaign in North Carolina and Georgia. Even if he tried to make those gains with rural voters, which he probably will a tiny bit, just picking up a few rural votes isn't enough to offset the loss of hundreds or thousands of just liberals in the urban areas here. In Iowa and Ohio, again, Iowa's a very rural state, so that's the one benefit of RFK Jr. He'd probably do a bit better than Biden here, but again, he would lose a bit of turnout in the urban areas in Iowa, so not enough to make it down to lean. It's very Republican trending anyway. Same with Ohio, kind of the same reasoning. It's a likely Republican state, probably do a tiny bit better in the rural areas, but he would get a drop off and turn on the urban areas and suburbs. In Alaska, it's a very rural state, so that's one benefit for RFK Jr. It would definitely keep Alaska down to the likely column here. In Maine and New Hampshire, Maine I would put as a likely Democratic state, and Maine second. Honestly, just because of how right-wing DeSantis is, he wouldn't win Maine second like a likely margin like Trump would. He'd only win it by a lean margin because I could see a lot of moderate voters probably ending up going to RFK Jr. instead. Maine seconds, it's a more moderate district overall, I would say. New Hampshire would go down to a lean Democratic margin. It's a socially liberal state, but I could see a lot of liberals not being willing to turn out for RFK Jr., so you'd underperform there. In Nevada and Arizona. Against someone like DeSantis is more right wing, I'd see him doing a bit worse in Nevada while doing about the same as Trump in Arizona here, both winning these two states by tilt Republican margins or so. In Nebraska second, just because of how right wing DeSantis is, a centrist Democrat like RFK Jr. would probably still win Nebraska second against him by like 3 points or so. So now we're down to the Rust Belt states. I see RFK Jr. probably winning in Michigan by a likely Democratic margin, but even with a decrease in the urban turnout, I think again a lot of Democrats probably would still just turn out for RFK Jr. just against DeSantis because of how right wing DeSantis is on the issues. In Michigan, I could see RFK Jr. probably doing a tiny bit better here than he would against Trump because, again, DeSantis is just so right wing. Plus, DeSantis is just not super populist on the issues anyway, so I don't see him doing well with populist voters. They might even go behind RFK Jr., honestly. Plus, he'd do a bit better in the rural areas, but again, sacrificing turnout in the urban areas. Pennsylvania, I just don't see DeSantis doing well enough in this state. I think RFK Jr. would narrowly edge him out here. And then we're down to the state of Wisconsin. And just based off the minority turnout in Milwaukee, I think that'll probably sink RFK Jr.'s campaign here. He wouldn't really be an exciting candidate for African American voters. He wouldn't get their turnout up. Plus, in the more liberal areas of Wisconsin and Milwaukee and Madison, again, liberals wouldn't be that engaged to really turn out for RFK Jr. Maybe they would turn out because DeSantis is just so right wing, which is why I think it would be decently close, but I just don't think he would get that turnout factor, and DeSantis narrowly defeats RF Kennedy Jr. So the popular vote, how would I would say? It would probably be like fairly even, honestly. Maybe RFK Jr. wins by 0.5% of the popular vote. That's what I'd say. But at the end of this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you were to subscribe to the channel, especially if you like these videos. I also recommend commenting the section. Do you agree with this prediction? Disagree with it? Let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.